Hey guys, it's Miss Jen here. Today we are going to be drawing a half of a face, okay? So you'll have to go in the resource section and print out the face that we're going to be drawing. And then once we go through this together, during the week, if you want to get added practice, you can cut out a picture in a magazine and just, the face has to be totally facing forward. It can't be on an angle a little bit or else you can't do this exercise. But if you find a picture like the one that you're going to print today, just cut it halfway down and then you can glue it to a piece of paper, and then you can practice this again. So I'd love to see, that would be a great extra credit if you do another picture on your own like we're going to do today. So grab a pencil and an eraser and then print your half of a face, and then we're going to get started. Can't wait. Okay, so I printed the half of a face, and we are going to draw on the other half. And we're going to work on training our eye to mirror things we see. And so the first thing I'm going to do is cut this on both sides so that it'll be easier to draw, because we don't want to accidentally make the face longer on this side than on this side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my paper that I printed and I'm going to fold it in half. It should be, actually it's not in half. I'm going to fold it on that line, so it's not really perfectly in half. I just want to fold it along this line here. Okay, so that the other side is white and this side is not. Okay, and now I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm just going to cut all this extra paper off. If you don't have scissors, then it's okay. You can just draw it and just know where to, just have to remind yourself where to stop. Okay. And then I'm also going to cut off the extra little bit of paper down at the bottom. And at the top. Okay, and now we're ready to go. And you can do this with any pictures. So after we do this project today, if you want to find another picture of a face, but it's got to be facing forward. If it's a side angle, you know, obviously you can't mirror it that way. So go ahead and smooth out your paper. I just have another white piece of paper on here in case I go off the edges. It'll just be easier. Okay, so grab your pencil, and you're going to need an eraser, and you will need to erase during this. You know, this is going to be trial and error, and you're practicing and you're learning. So don't feel bad if you need to use your eraser. I'm sure I will use mine too. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is make the jawline just like this side. So I'm using my point of reference here, which is this side. So if you want to, just kind of like use your eye and go across here. Okay, so my jaw is going to end, or the side of the face is going to end right about there. And then I'm also taking notice of how much space is in between here, because we want to do something similar on that side. Okay, so we're gonna, so I did make a little line there so I know what I'm aiming for as we go up. But I'm going to start by the chin and kind of want to do the same width, so about here. So that looks like about 1 inch to me, so I'm going to go out this way about the same. Okay, and then I'm going to gradually start going up. And I start off drawing lightly. We're going to add all kinds of shadowing in here. And I don't know if you know this, but no face has perfect symmetry. So if you look in the mirror at your face, your eyes are not exactly the same. And your eyebrows are not exactly the same. It's very interesting. But we're going to do our best to mirror this. Okay, so again, I want to just make sure that I'm noticing how much space is on this side versus this side, okay? Because I may need to come out a little further, which looks to be the case here. Because when I look on this side of the face, yeah, so I know that I'm in too close here because I'm using this side to kind of estimate, okay? So I'm going to use my eraser because I know right off the bat I was too close. Okay. And you can make a lot of lines just to see, and then as you get to where you want it, then you can just erase all the other lines you made. Okay, so I like this distance here because I see that it's just a little bit off the paper. And then as we come this way, it's further and further. Erase all those other lines. I'll take a look at it. All right, so that looks about right to me. For now, we're going to be doing a lot of shadowing on the face, but that shape looks pretty good. So now let's go ahead and make the neck. Okay, so again, you kind of have to eyeball. You can like start here and go across and place your pencil back down and then try to work at that same angle. Hopefully you can see this good. And then again, I'm going to look, okay, where does it end? Ends about there. Because you want it to end in a similar spot, because wouldn't it look funny if the neck ended here and down here? So your eye has to keep looking at the other side. To put it in a similar place. All right. So now let's go to the top and work on the eyebrow. Okay. So we see that there is a little space here before we start. So I want to go about the same distance. So you could even like put a line here so that you know. Okay, so that gives me about the same distance there. So go ahead and make that little line. And we see that there's a lot of shadowing there, so I'm turning my pencil on its side and I'm just lightly shadowing right here. I'm going to take my finger, blend it in. All right, and now we want to, again, we don't want one eyebrow up here and one down here. So I'm looking at this side. I'm going to go across, because you could always erase your shadow if it went too high. And I'm just going to give myself a little pencil guide of where I want my eyebrow. And I see that the eyebrow ends just with a little space here, so I got to make it longer. And it comes down. Actually, that's a little too long. I need some space there. So just very lightly using my pencil right now. Okay, so my eyebrow is going to end about there. Okay, and now I'm going to actually draw in. And again, let's do the bottom line. So now I'm going to look here. Kind of goes about like that. Okay. Now we have an idea kind of the shape, and that's where I'm going to start. So I just noticed that my video camera stopped recording for a second. So good thing I noticed quickly. Okay, what I did was, after I made that line here, I took my pencil and I went like this to fill it in lightly. And then I noticed that about here, the pencil marks should go in a downward direction, because the hairs were switched directions and we're going down. So I did that. And then I just took my finger and I blended everything. And for now, I'm just going to leave it like this. Later on in this process, we are going to be making certain areas of the picture darker, but I'm just going to leave that for now and move on. I'm going to move on to the eye. And so if I did that too quickly and you need to pause it to finish your eyebrow, go ahead. But I'm going to move on to the eye. So I need to see where the corner of the eye is on this side. So it looks to me like about an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing across on this side, about an inch. And then I want to make that shape. Okay, so I want to get that shape right over here. For the eye. And you have to keep looking at the other side to make sure that you're not going too low, too high. So I'm going to just do that for now, and we'll take a step back and look at it. And I don't want it to throw me off that there's no shadow here, so I'm going to just make a light shadow here under the other eye. Okay, let's get the eyeball in here. So again, I'm going to look at, okay, how far is it from the corner of the eye? Try and mimic that. Something to notice right off the bat is that it's not totally round, because the top eyelid is cutting off the top of the eye. Okay, but we want to try and make these the same size as close as possible. And I notice that there is a white light in the pupil there. So I'm making my pupil, but then I see that there's like, it almost looks like a half a circle. I see that there's a black little circle there, and then that white light, that half a circle. Like that. And you could use your eraser if you need to make sure that stays very white. Okay, turning my pencil on its side to fill in the pupil. This drawing today is very detailed. It's something that you don't have to finish all at once. This video, you can work on it a little bit, pause, walk away, come back, work on it some more, because it definitely helps when you're in the mood to draw. You know, sometimes we're in the mood more than others to be creative. So because this is a go at your own pace class, you can do that. Okay, so I'm making the edges of the eye darker. The more time you invest in this drawing here, the nicer it's going to look. So it's definitely not something you want to rush through. Okay, so I made that darker. I'm going to take my finger and I'm just going to blend in between. So where the pupil is and so that whole white space in the eye, I blended it. Now I'm going to take my eraser and I'm going to go back through it and add some little white areas. So it's a little lighter in some areas and a little darker in some. Go back over the pupil again and make it even darker. Like I said, it's better to start light and then just keep adding to it to make it darker. Okay. Go back over the outside edges again. Okay, and I noticed that if you look at this one, it's not so perfect. You see how right now ours, you can see like how exactly where the pupil stops and then the middle of the eye is. No, we don't want it like that. We want it to be more blended. There's shadows in here. So now I'm lightly going over this pupil again. And I'm going to add a little bit darker over there. Very lightly. And I'm going to make it darker over here. Because your eyelid casts a shadow on your eye. So, some of that. Okay, and there's even some darker spaces within the eye too. Okay. All right, and then speaking of shadows, you'll notice that there are shadows inside the corner of the eye and on the outside of the eye. So let's work on that. So right in here, the bottom corner, there's a shadow. And then off in here there is. I'm just going over this lightly. And then I want to take my finger again and gently blend that. So you want it to look lightest right in there. Okay, and then I'll even go back over this, make it a little darker. Okay. I keep looking now to make sure that my recording is still going on. Okay. So our eye is coming along. Now we're going to work on this shadowy area here. So again, it's a lot of shadow in here. Lightly going over that. And then in here. Okay. Take my finger. Rub all of that in a little bit. Good. Okay, I tried to move this a little bit closer so you could see what I'm doing here. I'm making a line above the eye now, and this is for the eyelid. It's dark. It's a pretty dark line. And then I'm going to smudge my finger on top like that. You could even turn your pencil on its side to make a shadow over here, but we want to leave a light area just above or in between the eyebrow and the eye. But as you can see from this one, it is pretty shaded here. We just want to leave that white area here. I'm gonna actually take my eraser . I'm gonna reshape this a little bit. Okay. Now you can take your finger, because you see how like right in here, it actually is dark between the eyebrow. So I'm going to smudge all of that in too, and just leave it light right there. Okay, and then my finger's dirty, so I'm going to take that and rub it underneath the eye. Like this. And then I'm going to take my eraser, the pointy part of my eraser, and I'm going to go very close to the edge of the eye because I want it to be really light right here. So like that. And then I'm going to take my pencil and make another line right next to that. I'm not pushing hard, it's very light touch. Okay, I'm going to smudge it over here too. See, it's starting to really come alive, this eye. Okay, there are some lines in here, so again, I'm not going to push it very hard, but I'm just going to make a light line like that, and another one like that. Okay, remember at any time during this video, you can pause it and take a break because there's a lot going on here. Okay, so I'm going to add some shadowing up here. So I'm just turning my pencil on its side. I'm going side to side. Down here. Now I'm going to take my finger and blend it. Okay. All right, let's work on, actually, let's do some of the eyelashes. You need a sharp point to your pencil for this. So if your pencil has gotten dull, take a break for a second and sharpen it. Mine is still pretty pointy, so I'm going to move on. So I'm going to put my pencil right on this line here, and then I'm just going to make some light lines for my eyelashes. So you really can't see them too much on that side because it's all shadowed there, but I'm just putting in some eyelashes across here. And it almost looks like I'm going to go over and make a couple of like clusters of them. So you see how a few areas it's just a little bit darker. Okay. Now let's work on the nose. Okay. So I'm going to make a shadow here. Rub that in. Okay. And we're trying to mirror this other side. Okay. And again, I always take my pencil and I kind of go across to see if we're the same distance. You could do the same thing here. You want it to end right about there. Okay. So I went ahead and shadowed in the nostril, and then I'm going to make some light pencil lines above that. They're lighter. Like that. And then I'm going to take my finger, I'm going to smudge all of this. Okay. Can make this a little darker. There's a shadow under here too, the bottom of the nose. So I'm just going to lightly do some of this and then put more of a shadow here. And then let's move on to the lip. Okay, so going across, I want it to end about here. Okay, there's a dark shadow under here. And then if you notice that this top lip is darker than the bottom, so go ahead and shadow this a little bit. I'm taking whatever's left on my finger and I'm going above the lip there too, because then I'm going to take my eraser and I want to make it really light right above the lip, like you see over there. Okay. Making some lines. On the side of the lip. We want to make a shadow on the bottom of the chin. Over here. And do you see how there's so much shadowing that goes all through here? So we're going to do that. Very lightly. Going back over it again. I want it darkest towards the edges. So that's why I'm keeping it closer to this line now. Okay. So this part's going to be very dark. Anywhere that you've gone outside of the lines, you can erase it. And now I just want to make certain places darker. So we pretty much have the face done. I'm just, now that we have everything proportionate and where we want it, I'm just going to go back through and make any of my shadows that I want darker. So I'll make this darker. I'm going to make this a little bit darker. Go over my lips a little more. You can make the white of your eyes a little whiter. Just in certain places. But I hope you had fun doing this today. I cannot wait to see what you came up with. Don't get discouraged if this first go at it you had a hard time. I've had many years of practice, and that's what it takes. You just keep doing it. So if you want, throughout the week, try again. Do a different picture and see how that one comes out. I could probably, just like I've said with some of my other things, I could probably mess with this for days and days and days, but because this is a one sitting class, I'm going to call it finished. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you guys have a great day. Make sure you share yours with me, and I will see you next time. Bye.